Today I'm going to talk about Jet Car Stunts 2, one of my favorite mobile games and one of my favorite racing games of all time. Truaxis was able to combine pretty much everything I love in a racing game into one package: stunts, great tracks, an arcadey feel, and awesome controls. The game has several different classes of cars, which I'm going to cover in today's video, and I'm also going to talk about some of the features I like in the game. I would also like to apologize in advance for the resolution of the video because I recorded this as a screen capture off my iPhone. However, what you can't tell and what's going on right now is how fluid the motion controls are. By making use of the gyroscope in the iPhone, the game does a really good job of tracking how aggressively or subtly you want to turn and maneuver the car. And this becomes especially important, as you can see here, when you want to use the air controls, which become extremely important in the game as it's based around jumping. Also, I absolutely adore the level design in this game. It starts out pretty easy, and this is I think one of the medium difficulty tracks, but once you get into the more advanced tracks, they become extremely difficult, so there's really a course in this game for everybody. Moving on from the buggy, you can see another class of car they have here, which really capitalizes on the gyroscope-based air controls, and this is the Jet Car, and it's pretty much a fighter jet. This thing, if you hit the boost and just take off from the track, you can essentially fly it like a plane. This was a great addition because in the first game there was only one car class, but in the later levels of the game, knowing how to maneuver the vehicle in the air was paramount. So adding this car kind of allowed them to take that concept and run with it. And as you can see later in this level, you get these big gaps like this where finessing the mid-air controls becomes just as important as driving on the course. I'm not gonna lie too, I have put some serious hours into this game. I've been playing this game for roughly 4 years, pretty much since it came out, and it's one of those crazy games that just doesn't get old. You can keep replaying it and trying to beat your scores, and just because of how fluid the gameplay is, it's just a great time killer if you're on public transit or you have 30 minutes to kill in a waiting room. You might not be able to tell from the YouTube video, but this game actually runs at an incredibly smooth and high frame rate when you play it on a mobile device. Also, you couple that with a smaller screen and a retina display, and graphically this thing is top notch. Truaxis really have outdone themselves with this title. And this particular level with the Jet Car is super fun because you get to do that vertical flying maneuver and then stall it out before you fly through the finish line. One of many epic moments in this game. Staying true to their roots, they included the original Jet Car from the first game in this game. This thing is way faster and a little tighter in the handling than the buggy, but you do lose some of the mid-air control and forgiving suspension you get with the buggy. However, it is a blast to drive, and the jet-assisted drifting that was so sick in the first game comes back in force. Also, properly timing the boost becomes extremely important, especially in later levels. Speaking of timing the boost, they added a series of levels that use this Mini Cooper type car, and at first I thought this was kind of a gimmick just to say, oh, we have so many different classes in the game, but the more I played it, I realized that this car is like a trials bike. This is more about low speed but precision usage of the jet to land on small surfaces and make very precise movements. Because the car is so small, the jet engine can essentially support the car and allow it to fly straight up, as you can kind of see like I'm doing here. Taking this Mini Cooper and positioning it at a 90-degree angle, basically vertical, is how you're going to find yourself using it a lot to boost across distances and do huge vertical hops with it. And this is a fun one to play with, because as you can see here, sometimes it gets a little squirrely, but the jet has a lot more influence on the trajectory of the car than it does on some of the other vehicles. Of all the vehicles in the game, this one is probably my least favorite. Its whole gimmick is it boasts a ton of acceleration because it has a huge jet on it. And some of the courses are designed for a monster truck, so they're a little harder to get around and rely on it having larger tires. I don't know. It's still pretty fun to drive though, and as you can see, the courses are kind of sparse and spread out and require you to make use of its knobby large tires and huge jet to get across portions. This is probably my favorite addition to the game. It's a stock car race, and for the first time in the Jet Car series, you actually race against AI, and it is sweet. The courses are not that much about aerial control, as the stock car has basically next to no aerial control, but they're more about trying to get in front of the other opponents. Also, the AI are fun to race against. And The initial courses in this series are pretty simple, but once you get to the advanced stock car races, the AI gets a little more difficult and these become a really fun challenge. Also, I like that you can bump and race pretty aggressively against the AI in these tournaments. Also, they seem smart enough to sometimes bump you back and drive as aggressively as you do. Also, this is a good time to point out the general aesthetic of these levels is awesome. It reminds me a lot of the DLC that came out for Mirror's Edge, where you kind of guided Faith through these amorphous blocks just suspended in space. And basically taking that awesome parkour concept and pairing it with super fast jet-propelled cars, that's everything I need out of a video game. Like, that's really all I need. However, getting back to the stock car level, one thing I love to do, as you can see right there, is set yourself up for drifts coming off of jumps. And that's going to come in super handy when you're trying to get to first place. But yeah, also getting back to the way the levels look, all the amorphous blocks they kind of position around outside of what you're supposed to drive on not only serve to make it look better, but in some of the platforming levels, they're actually put there to deceive you. And sometimes you have to retry the levels and figure out which blocks you're supposed to jump on. All good stuff, and things that help stretch out the gameplay. Of all the things they added to Jet Car Stunts 2, the Freestyle mode, in my opinion, was the most ambitious and the best add to the game. Not to mention the fact that they turned the Freestyle car into a Lamborghini. Basically, this is an entirely different game mode that's focused around doing flips, spins, rolls, and grinds, and calculating your maneuvers into a points-based system. This is almost similar to how their game True Skate works. The fluidity of the gyroscope and how you use the phone to guide the car really shines in this game mode, as you combine boost with the gyroscope to send your car into different aerial maneuvers. Also, the level design is fantastic with these freestyle courses. Some of them are based on skate parks, they have bowls and tabletops in them, and then there are some like these, which are more like a motocross course that have big jumps built into the level, or tabletops. I was also surprised at how solid the scoring system is, as it actually keeps track of the tricks you're doing, and if you keep doing the same moves like a 360 over and over again, it will progressively give you less points. They also include these bonus rings, as you can see in the air, that you can collect to keep jacking your score up. Also, they went ahead and actually included grind rails in a car racing game. I've been waiting too long for this, and it's beautiful. Jet Car Stunts is available as a free download on the App Store and the Android market. However, if you want access to all of the levels and all of the content, you're going to have to pay around $5 to get the additional levels. And that comes with a ton of content, hours of challenging and interesting levels that are going to keep your brain occupied. And quite frankly, $5 is a steal for the quality of this game. I like this better than a lot of the console racing games I've played, and even stuff like Forza, or the new Forza Hot Wheels pack, it's not going to come close to the intensity and the ridiculousness of this game. So if you're an iPhone user, at least get the free version and try it out, because this is a great time killer. See you guys next time.